we're going to review this interesting project called Curaizon. But first, I would like to apologize for me being gone for a couple of weeks, but I really had to take a break to reflect on things in life and so on and so forth. So it was definitely needed, but I do apologize for not updating you or not notifying you of me actually taking this break, as it was quite as it came out of nowhere, pretty much. But now I'm back on the road, and we're gonna review some very interesting ICOs, and I'm gonna start posting videos per usual. So let's get into today's video, which is about this interesting project called Curaizon. So, what do the guys at Curaizon aim to do? Well, they aim to improve healthcare with a very clever sort of token and a concept that they have come up with to do so. And as you guys know, I always prepare PowerPoints for these types of review videos. I'll pause the video and we will move over to the PowerPoint that I've prepared for this video. So, now we've moved over to my PowerPoint, and if you want to check out their site is Curaizon.com. Going into their concept. Well, first off, I have to mention that the token that will be used within the Curaizon project is called the Cura token, so don't get this mixed. I just wanted to clear up some confusion on that. But moving on to their slogan. Well, their slogan is improving healthcare, reducing costs, and saving lives. So, some problems that they're trying to solve. Well, first off, they say that far too many people fail to take their medications properly, and this sort of behavior is also called drug non-adherence. And the resulting personal and financial costs are staggering, they say. So, in their white paper, they present some statistics to highlight the sort of severity of this drug non-adherence problem. So, first off, according to some of the statistics that they have put together, they say that according to a report published by the World Health Organization, only about 50% of people in developed countries take their medications properly. Drug non-adherence accounts for over 50% of visits to a doctor, 40% of long-term care admissions, and more than 50% of hospital readmissions. Worldwide, drug non-adherence results in approximately 700 billion in additional healthcare costs. The cost of treating a patient with low adherence is twice that of a patient with high adherence. Healthcare costs for non-adherent patients can be as much as $2,000 per patient per year in additional doctor visits alone. So, there's definitely a major severity to this problem, and there are many things that could be solved that the guys at Curaizon are also actively trying to solve with their Cura token. So now, we're going to go over some of their solutions. So first off, they say here that Curaizon is the only company that offers a complete healthcare ecosystem that supports patients by reducing drug non-adherence. The ecosystem includes Curaserve, Curadata, and Curaview, and helps to lower healthcare costs and advanced medical research. So, they provide 3 innovative solutions to really sort of provide a complete and whole healthcare ecosystem, as to say. So, their solution, as mentioned, offers 3 of these innovations that they have come up with. So first off, they have come up with something called Curaserve. So, what Curaserve is that it is a sort of thing that communicates with patients using non-intrusive reminders, meaning that this sort of application communicates with patients, reminding them to take their medication and so on. Curaserve also enables family members to support patients. It also supports healthcare providers with a real-time view into the patient's behavior. Moving over to their next innovation called Curaview. Well, Curaview integrates with health services legacy systems. It also ensures that all patient data is current, And lastly, it provides real-time feedback to electronic medical record. Curadata collects unique and valuable data, and it also holds only demographic and adherence data, and the patient identifiers are held by a health service. And the Curadata is also available through Curaizon, they say. So, going over an actual real-world application. Well, this is something that I found on their white paper, and I really think it's interesting because I think this example really highlights some of the real-world uses and sort of use cases to the Curaizon project. So, here's a short little interesting story about a guy called John. So John visits his doctor because he has recently lost weight, despite feeling hungry and thirsty. After having a blood test, he learns that he has type 2 diabetes and needs to take an insulin on a regular basis. As part of his treatment, John is enrolled in Curaizon. Shortly after John leaves, he is sent a notification from Curaizon, which was a sort of service that they have come up with that sort of reminds people to take their medication. So they say that he sent a notification from Curaizon welcoming him to the service. John will now receive a series of reminders to ensure he takes his medicines, and he's also monitored to check on how often he takes the medicines as prescribed. Curaizon has a built-in safety net and can notify John's partner or another designated person if he fails to take his medication. Each time John takes his medication as intended, we make a small donation to a charity of John's choice, and this is an incentive for John to engage with the service and stay healthy. So lastly, I think that it's great how they have this sort of donation thing as an incentive for him to, or as an incentive for every person that uses this thing to use the service properly, but also to stay healthy. So that's definitely a great innovation of theirs. So, going over their white paper. Well, first off, their white paper is 39 pages in length. It definitely explains their problem and their solution in a thorough and realistic way. And I would also go as far to say that they really provide the sort of key details in a very easy and comprehensive manner, which I found great. So I didn't exactly find how many languages the white paper was displayed in, but I did see that they have this sort of light paper, so definitely a yes on that. And going over some white paper improvements, well, the sort of minor thing that I found was that I figured that they could include some sort of elements, like some graphics or illustrations that could possibly enhance the visuality and the visual aspect of the white paper, because the white paper was definitely a great read and it was very easy to understand, but it wasn't really that sort of visually pleasing. It was more filled with information, which is, in my opinion, it's obviously better to have a white paper with more and in-depth information compared to having a lot of graphics and illustrations, but very little actual content. But despite all that, the final rating that I gave the white paper was a 9.5 out of 10. And as mentioned, the main reason for giving this score was because they have a great and comprehensive white paper, and I also figured that it was very easy to grasp, and there were not really many things that I could find that I didn't like, so it was really great on the whole. So moving on to their team. Well, their team was an interesting part of their project. Their main team and their board of advisors is actually quite small, with 5 people on the main team and 2 people on the board of advisors. They also have this advisor company called Parexel, if that's the correct way to pronounce it, which is a biopharmaceutical service provider. So moving over to some of the improvements that I found. Well, first off, I figured that they could add some more people to the main team and the board of advisors, because it is always great to have more people on your team so you can handle unforeseen events and such, so you sort of have the workforce or workload to take care of those unexpected happenings, so to speak. Going over some positives, well, I found it really great that they have an actual company operating in a similar niche to theirs that can give them advice, which was this company called Parexel. So the overall team rating I gave it was a 7.5 out of 10 for having a small main team and a very small board of advisor, which was a sort of downside to their team. The major upside was that most of the members of the main team have a nice track record, and they also have an actual company similar to theirs in the sort of niche that they're operating in, that is going to advise them and giving them advice, which I found really great. And with that said, that concludes my review on the Curaizon project. Definitely a great project to look out for in the future, that also has an actual real and very important sort of real life use case. So, that's it for me today, guys. The ICO reviewer, and I'm out. See ya!